What's up, everyone? I'm John Kozak. Welcome to my corner. We're going to talk some international wrestling today. It's summer, a couple more months until Senior Worlds, and I want to talk about Russian wrestling. For those of you who don't follow international wrestling very closely, you might not know, but Russia is the powerhouse. And last year, in the spring of 2022, they were banned from international competition because of the war in Ukraine. They missed out the 2022 Worlds. They weren't there. Because of that, Team USA cleaned up in men's freestyle. And for those of you who follow international wrestling closely, you know Russia is king. They are who USA is chasing on the men's freestyle side of things. So it makes a big difference if Russia is at the World Championships or if they're not. And so we're about 2 months before Worlds, 2 months until the 2023 Worlds. And so I've been trying to follow this really closely, whether or not Russia is going to be allowed to compete at the 2023 World Championships. This year, the IOC, they released some guidelines for allowing Russia back into international competition. UWW said they're going to follow those guidelines. And so Russia has to do, some things to be allowed back in. And I've been reading the tea leaves. And from my perspective, my opinion, it looks like Russia is preparing to go to Worlds. And if I was a betting man, I would bet they're going to be at the World Championships, and for a couple different reasons. And that's what I want to break down right now. And so first things first, Russia, they held their Russian nationals just a couple weeks ago. And from American perspective, that is kind of like the World Team Trials for Russia. It's their big Russian nationals. All the best guys go there, and the winners of that, they usually are the world team rep. And so right after Russian Nationals was completed, the Russian Wrestling Federation sent the list of champions names to United World Wrestling to be approved to compete at the World Championships. And the reason why that is important is because one of the stipulations that the IOC had is that the athletes who compete internationally for Russia, representing Russia, they can't have any ties to the military. And we're going to get to why that's important in a little bit. So Russia sends this list of names of their champions to United World Wrestling to be approved to compete and to attend the World Championships. And so that's the first step. So the Russian Wrestling Federation, they're acting like, okay, we're preparing to go to Worlds. And so the next thing that is interesting that from the Russian wrestling perspective is that Zaurbek Sidakov, who's a World Olympic champion, and Abdulrashid Sedgelayev, World Olympic champion, pound for pound #1, they weren't at Russian Nationals. Both of those guys, they've established themselves as two of the best in the world. And so they kind of got an exemption. So think of like Final X, returning world medalists, they get to sit out until the finals. And so that's kind of what Russia let Sedgelayev and Sidakov do. But they have a wrestle-off now scheduled for July 29th with the Russian Nationals winners. They're going to face off to establish who's the #1 guy. And so again, they're setting their world team. They are acting and preparing like they're going to have a world team and they're going to go to the World Championships in September. And so here's the caveat with Sidakov, with Sedgelayev, and with what I said about having military ties is like one of the things that could keep you from, or could keep a Russian wrestler from going to the World Championships. And the thing with Sidakov is, Sidakov was part of the military. I don't know if he's still actively serving, but he was 100% a part of the Russian military. He has pictures of him, in his uniform, and he was a military world champion a few years back. And so, even if Sidakov wins the spot, there's still a chance he might not be able to go to Worlds. And so, regardless of what your stance is politically, just as a wrestling fan, that is huge news that he would be kept from competing at the highest level because of his ties to the Russian military. So that's like really interesting to follow. And so the last thing that I want to talk about is how significant this is for Team USA, especially in 2023, the year before the Olympics. Russia hasn't sent a full-powered 10 best guys lineup. They haven't sent their best since 2019. 2019, the year before the Tokyo Olympics, Russia sent all 10 of their best guys because the World Championships the year before, that's the year before the Olympics, that's the first qualifier for the next year's Olympics. So this is a really, really important World Championships. So Russia, they want to send their best team. They want to send all 10 of their best guys. They want to send their best 6 at those Olympic weights so they can qualify for the Olympics, just like Team USA wants to send our best and qualify at those 6 Olympic weights. And so obviously, if Russia sends their best, that just makes every weight that much deeper. Every weight is that much tougher for Team USA to qualify. And I mentioned in 2019, that's when Russia sent their best squad. And that's also when Team USA failed to finish in the top 3. Every year since then, Team USA has been either 1 or 2 battling it out with Russia, battling it out with Iran. In 2019, USA, they took 4th place behind Kazakhstan, behind Iran, and of course, Russia was number 1. So Russia being at the World Championships, it's not only significant, to see those best guys there, but it's also really significant in that it ups the competition for Team USA. It makes it that much harder for all of our best guys to qualify for the Olympics. The qualifier there is placing top 5 at that respective Olympic weight. And so, there's a whole bunch of different storylines to follow from Russia, whether or not they're going to be allowed to compete, whether or not Serbia is going to give those athletes visas. And then once they're there, because they haven't competed in a long time, they're going to be drawn into the bracket. What do those matchups look like? So this is 2 months out, kind of reading things and looking at it, but it's going to be really interesting to watch unfold. And the storylines are kind of endless as it pertains to this topic. We, of course, will keep you posted as the news unfolds, only at FloWrestling.org. Catch you later.